order.
When you start talking about economics and you start talking about giving businesses more freedom, people get real nervous because people think of businesses as being these monsters that they get
Totally,
power
yeah.
and then they just start trampling and stealing things. It's like, whoa, 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 what are you growing over there? What are you growing? I'm growing a robot monster that's going to eat the world. Oh, come on,
Come
man. You
on.
got to jump through government hoops and loops.
When
And
have you ever seen a futuristic science fiction movie with a negative portrayal of a corporation? Come on. They're always
never.
so
Yeah.
benevolent, so wonderful,
Has there
so
ever been
there
an
to help
awesome
check the balance.
corporation? Maybe big?
Look, corporations, okay. Oh, God, I'm going to bore your listeners with Econ 101. But, okay, corporations are state-created, horrible, semi-fascistic monsters. They do not exist in the free market. Corporation has nothing to do with the free market. You know, we may start a business together and all that. In the free market, it's like, okay, you've started a business. You don't get this legal shield. You don't get to take profits out of the corporation when it makes money. And then if it loses money, you don't ever have to put anything back. You don't have this thing where if the corporation or if you do something illegal, the corporation can get sued or can get fined and so on. It's a shield that is created to protect the people in charge of the corporations because they give a lot of money to politicians. Barack Obama's the only reason he's in power is he took huge amounts of money from the financial sector, more so than anyone else. Of course, you don't really see this really talked about, but this is why the bailout and all of this happened, particularly under his watch, the TARP and all of that stuff, which was started under Bush, but expanded under Obama. Corporations did not exist until quite recently. And in the past, if you were the head of a trading company and your trading company lost money, you could lose your house. People could come after your personal assets. So these guys were really careful about their investments. They got this legal shield. You know, hey, the corporation makes $1 billion. I can take that money out of the corporation, and now it's mine. And if I then do something wrong, the corporation loses $1 billion. Too bad, shareholders and employees pay the price. I mean, it's a wretched, unfair system that has nothing to do with the free market. Of course, the government always say the corporations are the problem to deflect, what's really going on, which is the corporate shield. And the reasons why they gave this was A, to get the money from the corporate owners, and B, because then they get to tax corporations, and then everyone somehow thinks that there's this thing called a corporation, like this blimp floating around the universe that you can tax for free. Like they did this fine recently, $900 million on some financial entity for its wrongdoings or whatever. And people are like, yeah, they fined that corporation, like somehow the corporation is paying. There's no corporation. What happens is the shareholders end up paying. The employees don't get raises. The customers end up with service fees. I mean, there's no corporation to tax. There's only people. So anyway, minor rant, but the corporations, they're part of the state capitalism, or what's sometimes called crapitalism, which is just the government and corporations working together. Technically, that's fascism, but it doesn't have anything to do with the free market. It's just the modern bloated monstrosity that's been created.
And it's just people figuring out a way to extract money and manipulating the system to make it easier for them to extract money.
Well,
and whether it's extracting money from taxes or whether it's extracting money in the form of political donations, however they're figuring out a way to do it. And what gets crazy about it is that there's a bunch of human beings that are a part of this thing that really isn't looking out for human beings.
No.
I mean, some people profit, you get money from it, but if you look at the ultimate destruction of these things, like very often they're not looking out for people.
And look, I say this as an insider. I mean, I started a company with my brother in the 90s. We grew this company, we sold it, and then we went public. And the process of going public is like having cocaine injected into your dick, being lashed into a barrel full of psychotic monkeys and thrown off a cliff. It's completely insane. You go mental. You focus on the stock price rather than building long-term value, and you can make a fortune from tiny upticks and downticks in the stock price rather than focusing on satisfying your. It really draws your attention away. It's like you're chatting with your wife, and some incredibly stacked woman in a bikini goes by, and you don't have your sunglasses on to pretend that you're still staring at her.
Even if you do, they'll lift your sunglasses up.
That's right. And it's like
Mad Dog
stocks are like continually having these incredible looking women go by while you're trying to focus on the love of your life. And it's like, your hormones are going one way and your heart is going another. It's completely insane. It really warps your thinking. And this is why corporations have given up on R&D and focused entirely on marketing and stock pitches, because the amount of money you can make is insane. And it's because so many people's money is being forced into the stock market. I mean, it's like herding a bunch of sheep off a cliff and saying, well, those sheep seem to be kind of suicidal now, don't they? It's like, no, it's because like you got your 401k plan. What happens if you don't put money in your 401k? Government takes it, right? What happens if you don't invest in various institutes? Like if your money gets taken from a union, the union has to invest it in your pension plans and all of that. Unions have a huge amount of say in what happens in the stock market. Who wants to be in the stock market? I don't want to be in the stock market. Maybe you do because you're thrill junkie and all that, but I don't want to be.
Do that.
I don't want to be in the stock market. I really, the stock market is for people who know what they're doing. I don't want to be in the stock market. Nobody I know wants to be in the stock market, but we all have to be in the stock market because it's like that old joke where in Scotland, right? Scottish people are supposed to be cheap. That's the stereotype when I grew up. And so, an Englishman and a Scotsman are walking down, and a thief comes up and says, "I'm going to rob you of everything you've got." And the Scotsman turns to the English guy and says, "Aye, here's that 20 quid that I owe you." Because it's like you're going to lose the money,
right.
So you give it, give it to the. So the government's going to take your money by force, or you give it to a bunch of parasitical, three-eyed, roach-faced stockbrokers, right? So it's like, okay, give it to the stockbrokers. If the guy's going to steal my money, I'll put it on Red 22. And that's how the stock market works. So there's way too much money in the stock market. There should be like 1% of the money that's in the stock market that's there now. So you got these massive tsunamis of cash rolling back and forth. You gave me a good coffee here. I just wanted to mention that.
Pretty strong. It's caveman coffee. Holla to my friend Tate Fletcher.
So I'm going to, do 3 more rants and then faceplant into this lovely wood table.
You're going to hang in there because that's got MCT oil and butter. So you're going to hang in there. It's going to have a lot more energy.
So I'm going to have like really strange shit in the morning?
Maybe that'll happen.
Like nothing nice and S-shaped. It's going to be like the subtitles it's going to be the subtitles to some Japanese movie that's going to be in the
It's going to be like if you stuck mud in a musket and then just pull that pin back and boom, let it go.
Right. But, so yeah, I mean, there's just way too much money in the stock market. Mm-hmm. Corporations are taking moral and financial and legal responsibility away from executives. So this is just natural. You drug a ballerina, you get a weird show, but it's not the ballerina. It's just what happens, right?
That's a very funny expression. You drug a ballerina, you get a weird show. There should be a photo of you like this, like an internet meme, and it just says, you drug a ballerina, you get a weird show. Stefan Molyneux. That's so true. It's a great way of putting it. And I think a lot of what you're bitching about, and we're both bitching about, is it comes down to a couple of things. It comes down to human beings being born into a system that's already fucked up. It comes down to managing your own thinking as well, figuring out how to weigh you as an individual who has allegedly, and it's another debate, has free will. That's a huge debate, the free will debate, which is very esoteric and strange. I don't know. I'm not qualified.